Yep, we're on. So, hi everyone. This is week 4 of the YouTube Pagan Challenge, and this week is your take on the Wheel of the Year. So, I'm just going to alert you right now if you're super traditional. I don't have a very traditional view of it, so you might just want to stop watching now, or you'll might punch your monitor. So, Wheel of the Year. When it was introduced to me, I understood it to be a very, like, Wiccan specific thing, and I guess more other people use it for marking the passage of time. So that's my initial take on it. So coming up now, that's my calendar over there, is Imbolc. That's Monday. You'll be watching this. And that day is special to me for a completely different reason than a lot of people find it sacred and special. That was the day that I had my first real major clairaudient experience, is the best way I could put it. Yeah, that's when stuff in 2014 just sort of opened up, made sense. That's when things kind of came together and moved in this way to where I am now. But I don't really connect with the goddess Bridget, actually most European deities for that reason. And I get the point of it of like, what I've been hearing from a lot of people, it's like changing things up, freshening energy, which is funny because I changed the way I was sleeping in my bed. That just like complete swapped it. I just felt like it took a few days, like my back really hurt because you have to like break in your foam pads again. But it's gotten a lot better. So yeah, I understand that, and actually another thing, I should have probably said this earlier for the Wheel of the Year, but um, I've just been very, it's just solitary, it's just me, and for some reason in Massachusetts it's hard to find gatherings and whatnot. And so I've never exactly had a community, so maybe if I had started in a coven of some sort or some group, or in the future when I have it, will I have a different take on the wheel? Probably. So yeah. So the next is spring equinox, and I call them equinox and solstices. The words that people use, like Austera, Litha, Mabon. I mean Yule, but that's because I'm from a Swedish family, and so whenever they do the Santa Lucia pageant, Yule means Christmas that time. So I knew what that word meant. Excuse me. Excuse me, I've been having a throat thing lately. Um, so next is spring equinox, which I'm in New England, and whether spring is actually happening or not differs from year to year and is a case by case basis. The way our winter is going, it has been very mild. A lot of our snow has already melted, and from what I understand in the forecast for next week, we're not going to get a lot of snow. So, for all I know, March 21st, it will be very spring-like. It actually has been very spring-like for a while. We had a cold snap last weekend, and we got some snow, and that didn't last the week. So it's another, yeah, with the Wheel of the Year, I feel it really changes on where you are in the world. Not even just like the hemisphere switch, but like other things. So, spring equinox, it may or may not be spring. Also, with like the summer solstice, people kept I've been watching other people's videos and they've been calling it the midsummer. I'm like, we're sometimes lucky if summer starts on June 21st, 20th, 21st, 22nd. Yeah, because sometimes spring will extend out pretty long, and it'll be warm in the sense that it's like in the 50s, but we haven't had Like, it reached into the 60s or 70s. Um, Especially when I lived at the summer camp I worked at, is once you got into June, around summer, then it would start, sometimes it wouldn't. The weather up here is very wonky. But, okay, so spring equinox, it's when stuff comes back to life, and on that day I can usually feel energy kind of rushing back in, sort of just like below the surface of the ground, but it's like ready to start coming back up, and it's just a big releasing of energy all over the place. That's what it represents for me. So it's the rebirth, it's the coming of anew. Beltane, I also like Beltane a lot. Mayday. I consider it the second time that the veil is very thin. Samhain and the Mayday. Beltane, I find veil's very thin, same thing. Although, as versus when it's like, in Samhain, how you get more, like, the dead and ancestors coming through. In Beltane, it's more like solar entities, like, and a lot of fairy and elemental, elf, dwarf energy just abounding is what I find, as versus like the ancestors coming through. And so then we're on to summer solstice, and like I said, it can be a warm day, sometimes it's not. So it's the height of the sun, it's the warmest day, and that's just a sign to like kind of party and celebrate what's going on. If you think about it, it's around the time, it's during summer vacation, it's around like July 4th is close-ish, matters on how you count close. So it's like get-togethers, talking with people. So the next would be Lamas or Lunasa. Yeah, that's one I really just don't resonate with. But like I said, this is affected by my experience and what's going on. Like, I've read about it, but it just doesn't really super resonate with me. Like, I mark the occasion with doing something, but that one just has never really made sense to me. And then move on to fall equinox. That's the beginning of the harvest. Bringing in just not only plants or stuff you've grown, but manifestations, attracting things. And then looking back over the year thus far and coming up with like what worked, what didn't, plans for the future, planning for winter. Because in New England, you're kind of inside a lot during the winter because it's normally colder than it is now, but and so the fall equinox now. Samhain, or yeah, All Souls Day, very important because that was the day that the goddess, the Lady of the Land of the Dead in Aztec mythology. One of these days I'm going to figure out how to say her name correctly. That was her celebration day, and so it kind of got synthesized into what we now know as Dios de los Muertos. Yeah, the Day of the Dead. And that's also a day now traditionally in Mexico where that Santísima Muerte is celebrated. So that's an important one to me. I've always connected with that day. And so then we're on to Yule, which is essentially Christmas. Like, I come from a Christian family, so it's always associated with that. I mark it with something. I had a candle that day that was supposed to be, over Christmas break, that was supposed to be my Yule fire, because, I mean, I could have had a fire, but I just had a candle that I burned down all day that was my Yule fire. And just represents, like, coming back, return of the light, moving in towards spring. This is also a big it would be for planning the next year, stuff going forward, and just looking for happiness in the warmth again, and that coming back. So that's my super, non-traditional take on the Wheel of the Year. Next week's is what does this time of year mean to you? I'm probably going to film this right after this, so I'll be wearing most likely the same outfit. Thank you, and have a great week.